Tonight, was there any thought at all that, this could have been your last game with the Lakers?
I'm not going to answer that.
When LeBron signed with the Lakers in 2018, he would shock the world, something that he's become all too familiar with doing. And with the stage set for him to do it again, who's to say that he won't? Thanks to a player option, LeBron has the ability to become a free agent this summer, and we all know what LeBron has wanted to do most with his career reaching its conclusion. Like always, LeBron wants to win, but he doesn't just want to win anymore, he also wants something more. He also wants to play alongside his son, Bronny James. With Bronny James declaring for the 2024 NBA Draft, there has been a major change on the Bronny James front, with both Bron and the Lakers having some very tough decisions to make. And let's just say that some of these discussions are already happening internally, and they might not be going exactly how you would expect them to. But first, today's content is brought to you guys by my newest sponsor, Underdog Fantasy. For those of you who aren't familiar with Underdog Fantasy, let me tell you right now that it's the easiest way to play fantasy sports and have some fun while you're watching the playoffs. The Underdog Fantasy game that I've been personally having a lot of fun with while watching the playoffs is called Pick'em. You just have to pick higher or lower on your favorite player, or any player for that matter, and you'll have the opportunity to 100 times your money in a single night. I'm going to be watching that huge 76ers and Knicks game tonight, so you guys know that I had to submit some entries involving that game. Let me know what you guys think of those entries down in the comments below. So go ahead and visit UnderdogFantasy.com or find them in the App Store and take advantage of this special offer. When you sign up using my code COOP, you get your first deposit doubled for up to $100. Thank you, Underdog, for coming through and sponsoring today's content. The basketball career of Bronny James has already been very controversial, despite Bronny steering clear of any controversy, which is pretty wild when you consider that not only is this guy avoiding controversy, but this guy also isn't even a pro yet. After Bronny finished his high school career as a top 20 ranked basketball recruit by ESPN and a McDonald's All-American, there were these expectations that Bronny James would be your typical one-and-done prospect out of college. A lot of draft sites thought that Bronny would be a first-round pick, or even better, a lottery pick in the 2024 NBA Draft after his freshman season at USC. The 2024 Draft would feature some strong names like Alex Sarr, Cody Williams, and Rob Dillingham. Now, although I am a fan of the names that I just dropped, experts think that this draft class will be weaker than what we're used to seeing, which is great news for Bronny. But still, the strong pre-draft expectations for Bronny would have some screaming nepotism, while others screamed delusion, as they thought that regardless of his status or talent, that there was no way that he would be NBA ready after just 1 year of college basketball. And with Bronny having the rocky year that he had at USC, those who doubted him would start to feel validated. So for Bronny, there would be one game in particular at USC that would be an eye-opener for even the biggest supporters of the Bronny one-and-done dream. There's no other way to put it. Bronny's first start at USC would be a disaster. After going 0 of 7 from the field and 0 of 3 from 3 in a scoreless L to CU, the criticism that was already agonizingly loud for Bronny would be louder than ever. So statistically speaking, how bad was Bronny's freshman year at USC? Well, he would average 4.8 points, 2.8 rebounds, and 2.1 assists, while shooting 36.6% from the field and 26.7% from 3. And it's not like my guy wasn't playing. He got minutes, averaging almost 20 of them a game. He just wasn't very good in those minutes. Now, just because the stats were bad, that doesn't mean that Bronny is a bad basketball player. While the numbers alone aren't great, they don't tell the full story for Bronny. Personally, I'm just happy that this man was able to hoop this year after that cardiac arrest scare that took place last July. So Bronny's poor play as a freshman would have him go from being labeled as a potential lottery-bound player to completely falling off of the draft boards. Bron would see outlets that Bronny was falling off of these boards and immediately jump to the defense of Bronny, saying this in response to the news. Quote, "Can y'all please just let the kid be a kid and enjoy college basketball? The work and results will ultimately do the talking no matter what he decides to do. If y'all don't know, he doesn't care what a mock draft says. He just works. Earned, not given. And to all the other kids out there striving to be great, just keep your head down, blinders on, and keep grinding. These mock drafts don't matter one bit, I promise you. Only the work matters. Let's talk real basketball, people. End quote. Now, I'm not mad at Bron for coming to the defense of his son. I actually think that's quite the noble thing to do in this situation. It was just funny that Bron was out here saying things like, just let the kid be a kid and enjoy basketball, while he's constantly hyping up his desire for his son to play alongside him. Although Bron wasn't doing any of this to bring negativity to Bronny, and it all comes from a good place, when you're saying things like, man, Bronny is definitely better than some of these cats that I've been watching on League Pass today, that stuff is lightweight hilarious, people are going to feel some type of way about Bronny. When you're saying things like this, even if you're joking, you're unintentionally making the target that shouldn't be on his back in the first place bigger. Again, I know it's wrong, but I guess it's just kind of what comes with the territory when you're one of the greatest players to touch a basketball. So regardless of Bronny being removed from homemade draft boards across the nation and that ESPN one, Bronny would still opt to declare for the 2024 NBA draft, which would actually be a great move for Bronny. You see, Bronny declaring for the 2024 draft doesn't mean that his collegiate career is necessarily over, because in declaring for the draft, he would still retain his collegiate eligibility, meaning that he could still do what everybody wanted him to do in the first place, which is go to a program that will work with him so that he could maximize his potential. Bronny declaring really puts him in an amazing spot. I mean, at worst, this guy is going to get a better idea of where he stands among NBA talent, and that's not a bad thing at all. Now, I'm not going to dress it up. While Bronny is a good defender with a high IQ, Bronny still has a long ways to go even if he wants to be a Patrick Beverley, Davion Mitchell, or Norris Cole at the next level like some scouts project him to be. Production-wise, while those are some pretty boring player comparisons, thanks to Bronny's frame and athleticism along with his feel for the game, he does have the potential to be better than any of those guys. But as we all know, potential is just potential. I think that Gilbert Arenas has some really silly takes on things a lot of the time, but every now and then he'll drop a banger. Part of his take on Bronny was a straight banger of a take. To quote Gil, he has a Bugatti engine, but he wants to drive the speed limit because he doesn't want to get a ticket. That's how he uses his body. End quote. A huge part of Bronny's development is going to hinge on, of course, himself, but also him landing in the right situation. If Bronny doesn't land in the right situation, then we might not see that potential that's there be unlocked. This is why Bron is now prioritizing Bronny finding the right home over playing with him. Now, mind you that there's still a possibility that we see Bronny and Bron playing together in LA, because a report recently dropped that the Lakers are teasing the idea of drafting Bronny. Now, mind you that there's also the possibility that neither Bronny nor Bron will be in LA next season also. Regardless of all those recent reports that came out which said that Bron planned to re-sign with the Lakers still haven't gotten a commitment from Bron himself. To quote LeBron, "I've seen and heard a lot of reports about my future. I said it last night and I'll say it again. I do not know yet, as I'm only thinking about spending time with my family and friends. When I know after speaking with the fam, my consul, as well as my representation about it, then you guys will know. Until then, silence. Love, King." End quote. It's so wild that LeBron has been on the Lakers for 6 years now, and it doesn't feel like it. Personally, at this stage of his career, it's hard for me to envision him on another team. Guys, do you actually think that there's a possibility that we could be seeing Bron playing basketball elsewhere next season? Do you guys think that Bronny and Bron will end up on the same team? I do, and I think that him weakening his stance about playing with Bronny is in part so a random team doesn't draft Bronny just because they're expecting LeBron to show up. If Bronny gets drafted, it's probably going to be calculated, and that might be how LeBron wants it. Again, guys, let me know what you think of everything down in the comments below. Clicking the video on the screen right now is a great way to support my channel. I'm GetLikeCoop, bringing you guys the scoop until our next upload.